Jake Morrison stood at the window of the diplomatic ship, watching the massive space station grow larger. His hands were shaking a little. At 19 years old, he was the youngest person ever chosen for Earth's diplomatic team. Some people said he was too young. Others said he was a genius. Jake just felt nervous. "First time seeing Apex Prime?" Captain Lisa Hayes asked, walking up beside him. She was a tall woman with kind eyes and short brown hair. She had been to the station many times before. "Yes, ma'am," Jake replied. "It's huge. That's where we'll meet the Galactic Council. Representatives from over 40 different alien species will be there." Lisa smiled at him. "Don't worry. Just be yourself. That's why Ambassador Foster picked you for this mission." Jake nodded, but his stomach still felt tight. Earth had only discovered faster-than-light travel 5 years ago. Since then, they learned they were not alone in the universe. Far from it, the galaxy was full of intelligent life, and most of them had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. Humans were the newcomers, the babies of the cosmic family. The ship docked at Apex Prime an hour later. When the doors opened, Jake got his first real look at alien life. The docking bay was filled with creatures of every shape and size. Some walked on 2 legs like humans. Others floated in the air or crawled on multiple limbs. Their skin came in colors Jake had never imagined. Blues, purples, oranges that seemed to glow. "Stay close," Dr. Henry Cole said. He was the team's expert on alien cultures. He had studied every species humanity had met so far. "Don't stare too much. Some species consider it rude." Jake tried to follow the advice, but it was hard. Everything was so new and strange. The walls of the station seemed to be made of some kind of living metal that shifted colors. Strange music played from somewhere, mixing sounds no human instrument could make. They walked through long corridors until they reached a massive chamber. Jake's jaw dropped. The room was as big as a football stadium, maybe bigger. Thousands of aliens filled the space, sitting in sections organized by their species. At the center was a raised platform where speakers would stand. "The human delegation from Earth," a voice announced. It came from everywhere at once, translated into perfect English by technology Jake didn't understand. Ambassador Greg Foster led their small group to their assigned seats. Jake noticed how many eyes and other sensory organs turned to watch them. Some aliens whispered to each other. A few made gestures that might have been greetings or insults. Jake couldn't tell. The ceremony began. One by one, different species stood and spoke. They talked about trade agreements, territorial disputes, and scientific discoveries. Jake tried to pay attention, but the translator made everyone sound formal and boring. After 2 hours, his mind started to wander. Then something changed. The entire room went silent. Even the background noise stopped. Jake looked up and forgot how to breathe. She entered from a door high above the main floor. She didn't walk. She glided, floating down on some kind of invisible force. Her skin was a deep purple that sparkled like the night sky. She had 4 arms, each moving with perfect grace. Her face was humanoid but alien, with large golden eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. She wore robes that flowed around her like water, decorated with symbols that hurt to look at directly. "Queen Zathera of the Vexian Empire," the voice announced with something that sounded like respect, maybe even fear. Jake had read about the Vexians. They were one of the oldest and most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Their empire spanned hundreds of worlds. Queen Zathera herself was said to be over 3,000 years old. She had ruled for longer than human civilization had existed. The queen floated to the center platform. She didn't speak right away. Her golden eyes moved across the crowd, looking at each section in turn. When her gaze reached the human delegation, Jake felt a strange sensation, like electricity running down his spine. Those golden eyes locked onto his. Jake couldn't look away. The queen stared at him for what felt like hours but was probably only seconds. Then, impossibly, she smiled. It was a small smile, barely there, but Jake saw it. "I greet the council," Queen Zathera said. Her voice was beautiful, like music and thunder mixed together. "I acknowledge the old powers and welcome the new faces." She paused. "Including the humans freshly arrived in our ancient community." Ambassador Foster stood up. "Thank you, Your Majesty. Earth is honored to—" "The young one," the Queen interrupted, still looking at Jake. "What is his name?" The room went completely silent. Jake felt everyone staring at him now. Ambassador Foster looked confused. "Your Majesty, this is Jake Morrison. He's our junior engineer and cultural liaison. Jake Morrison, the Queen repeated, tasting each syllable. She floated closer, descending until she hovered just above the floor near the human section. Every alien in the room leaned forward. How old are you, Jake Morrison? Jake's mouth was dry. 19, Your Majesty. Something rippled through the crowd. Jake heard gasps and strange sounds from different species. Dr. Cole's face had gone pale. Queen Zathera's smile grew wider. She raised one of her 4 hands and a glowing symbol appeared in the air. Jake didn't know what it meant, but the reaction from the crowd told him it was important. Very important. I, Queen Zathera, eternal sovereign of the Vexian Empire, keeper of the ancient flame, make this declaration before the Galactic Council. Her voice filled every corner of the massive room. The young human, Jake Morrison, will be mine. I claim him under the right of chosen bond. Let all witnesses mark this moment. The room exploded into chaos. Aliens jumped to their feet, shouting in dozens of languages. The translator struggled to keep up. Ambassador Foster looked like someone had hit him with a brick. Captain Hayes grabbed Jake's arm, her grip tight. Jake just stared at the alien queen, his mind trying to process what had just happened. Queen Zathera looked at him with those golden eyes, and Jake saw something there. Not cruelty or hunger. Something else. Interest, curiosity? He didn't know. But his life, he realized, had just changed forever. The youngest human at the Galactic Council had just been claimed by one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. And Jake Morrison had no idea what that meant. The human delegation's quarters on Apex Prime were nice, but Jake couldn't enjoy them. He sat on a chair that adjusted to his body shape, staring at the wall. Around him, the adults argued. This is a disaster, Ambassador Foster said, pacing back and forth. We don't even know what this chosen bond means. Is it marriage, slavery, a death sentence? I'm checking all our databases, Dr. Cole said, his fingers moving fast over a holographic screen. The Vexians use the chosen bond to honor great warriors and leaders. It's never been offered to a human before. Actually, I can't find any record of it being offered to any species younger than 10,000 years old. That doesn't help us, Captain Hayes said. She stood near Jake like she was protecting him. We need to know what happens now. Can we refuse? I sent a message to Earth, Foster replied. But it will take hours to get a response. The communication delay is... A knock on the door stopped the conversation. Everyone froze. Enter, Foster called out, his voice uncertain. The door opened and a small floating sphere came in. It glowed with soft blue light. The council requests Jake Morrison's presence, it said in a mechanical voice. Queen Zathera wishes to speak with him privately. Absolutely not, Captain Hayes said immediately. He's not going anywhere alone. The Queen's invitation allows for one advisor, the sphere continued. But only one. The meeting will take place in the neutral meditation chamber. All safety protocols will be observed, Jake finally spoke. His voice sounded calmer than he felt. I'll go. Jake, no, Dr. Cole started. I have to, Jake said, standing up. We came here to build relationships with alien species, right? Well, the most powerful alien in the room wants to talk to me. If I refuse, what message does that send? Ambassador Foster looked at him for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. I'll come with you as your advisor. 20 minutes later, Jake walked through the quiet corridors of Apex Prime. The meditation chamber was far from the main council room. They passed only a few aliens on the way, and each one stared at Jake with expressions he couldn't read. The chamber door was made of clear crystal. Inside, Jake could see a simple room with comfortable-looking seats and plants from different worlds. Queen Zathera stood near a window that showed the stars outside. Only Jake Morrison may enter, the floating sphere announced. Advisor Foster, you may wait outside. You have the council's guarantee of the young human's safety. Foster looked unhappy but nodded. Shout if you need anything, he whispered to Jake. Jake stepped through the door. It closed behind him with a soft sound. Suddenly he was alone with an alien queen who had lived for thousands of years. You are afraid, Queen Zathera said. It wasn't a question. She turned to face him, her forearms hanging relaxed at her sides. That is wise. Fear keeps young creatures alive. Why did you choose me? Jake asked. He figured there was no point in small talk. The queen's golden eyes studied him. You want the direct question answered. Good. I appreciate that. She moved to one of the seats and gestured for Jake to sit across from her. I chose you because you are interesting. Interesting? Jake sat down carefully. Your Majesty, there are billions of humans. Surely some of them are more interesting than a 19-year-old engineer. Perhaps, Zathera agreed, but I did not see those billions. I saw you. And in you I saw something I have not seen in 3,000 years. She leaned forward slightly. Tell me, Jake Morrison, why are you here? Why did your people send one so young to this gathering? Jake thought about lying, but something told him this creature would know. They sent me because I understand alien technology faster than most people. I taught myself 4 alien languages in 6 months. I built a working translator from spare parts when I was 16. He paused, and maybe because I was the only one crazy enough to volunteer. The Queen's laugh surprised him. It sounded like bells and wind chimes. Yes, that is what I saw. Courage mixed with curiosity. Humans are young, Jake Morrison. Your species discovered fire just moments ago in galactic time. You built your first spaceship yesterday. You met us this morning. I know we're new to all this, Jake said. New, yes, but not weak. Zathera stood and walked to the window. Do you know how many species exist in this galaxy? Dr. Cole said over 400 intelligent species have been documented. 417, Zathera corrected. I have met them all. Some are strong. Some are wise. Some are old beyond measure. She looked back at him. But only humans are impossible. Impossible? You should not exist, the Queen explained. Your planet is dangerous. Violent weather, deadly creatures, diseases that would kill most species. Yet humans not only survived, they thrived. You learned to run longer than any predator. You learned to throw weapons with precision no other species can match. You learned to talk, to plan, to dream. Jake didn't know what to say. And then, in the blink of an eye, you went from hitting rocks together to building starships. 5,000 years from primitive farming to faster-than-light travel. Do you understand how impossible that is? Zathera's voice carried something like awe. The Vexians took 40,000 years to achieve what you did in 5,000. Most species take even longer. We had a lot of motivation, Jake said. We wanted to reach the stars. Exactly, Zathera said. Want, desire, passion. Humans feel everything so strongly. You love and hate with equal intensity. You create beautiful art and terrible weapons. You are contradictions walking on 2 legs. She moved closer. And you live such short lives. How old do your people get, Jake Morrison? Maybe 80 or 90 years if we're lucky and healthy. I am 3,000 years old, Zathera said softly. I will live another 7,000, perhaps more. By the time I die, your entire civilization could rise and fall dozens of times. She reached out with one hand, stopping just before touching his face. Does that frighten you? Knowing how brief your life is compared to mine? Sometimes, Jake admitted. But it also means we can't waste time. Every day matters to us. Every moment is precious because we don't have thousands of years to figure things out. Zathera nodded slowly. That is the answer I hoped for. Other species see humans as children. Reckless, dangerous, short-sighted, they want to limit you, control you, keep you in your small corner of space. Her golden eyes hardened. I see the truth. Humans are not children. You are something the galaxy has never seen before. And that terrifies the old powers. Is that why you chose me? Jake asked. To make a statement? Partly, Zathera admitted. The chosen bond is a promise. It says that I, one of the oldest living beings, recognize value in you. It gives humans status and protection under Vexian law. It means other species cannot simply dismiss you as primitive newcomers. And the other part? Jake pressed. You said partly. The Queen smiled again. The other part is personal. I'm tired, Jake Morrison. Tired of endless councils where nothing changes. Tired of watching the galaxy grow stale and comfortable. When I looked at you, I saw fire. Potential. The promise that things could be different. She finally touched his face, her hand surprisingly warm. I chose you because I want to see what happens when humanity is given a chance. And because I want to understand what makes you impossible. Jake's mind raced. So what happens now? What does this bond mean for me? That depends on you, Zathera said. Tradition says you must complete the trial of worth. 3 tests to prove that my choice was correct. If you succeed, you become my equal, my partner in the eyes of the galaxy. You speak with my authority. You carry my power. And if I fail, then I was wrong and humanity remains unproven. Zathera's voice was gentle. But I do not believe I'm wrong. I have lived 3,000 years, Jake Morrison. I am very good at judging character. Before Jake could respond, an alarm sounded. The door burst open and Ambassador Foster rushed in. "We have a problem." "A big one. What kind of problem?" Jake asked. Foster's face was grim. "Prince Corvan of the Draken Empire has issued a formal challenge. He says the Queen's choice is an insult to all true warriors." He looked at Zathera. "Your Majesty, he's demanding the right to contest the chosen bond. And according to council law, you can't refuse." Queen Zathera's expression didn't change, but Jake felt the temperature in the room drop. "So it begins," she said quietly. "The old powers move to stop the new." Jake stood up, his hands clenched into fists. "What does that mean for me?" Zathera looked at him, and Jake saw something new in her golden eyes. Respect. "It means, Jake Morrison, that your trial begins sooner than expected, and it means the galaxy is about to learn what humans are truly made of." Jake stood in the arena trying to control his breathing. The trial of worth had 3 parts. This was the first combat. Around him, thousands of aliens watched from seats that rose up like a giant bowl. Their voices mixed together into a sound like ocean waves. "You don't have to do this," Captain Hayes had told him an hour ago. "Earth won't think less of you if you back out." But Jake knew that wasn't true. If he backed out, humanity would look weak. Queen Zathera would look foolish for choosing him, and Prince Corvan would win without fighting. Jake had seen the prince during the opening ceremony. Corvan was huge, maybe 8 feet tall, covered in red scales that looked like armor. He had claws that could cut through steel and a tail with spikes on the end. The Drakons were a warrior race. They had conquered dozens of worlds through strength and violence. "The combat trial will now begin," a voice announced. "Jake Morrison of Earth will face 3 challenges chosen by Prince Corvan. He may use any tools or weapons available in the arena. The trial ends when all 3 challenges are complete or when the competitor cannot continue." Jake looked around the arena floor. It was a big open space with various obstacles, rocks, walls, pillars. In racks along the edges, he saw weapons from different worlds. Swords, spears, strange devices he didn't recognize. A door opened on the far side of the arena. Something big stepped out. It was a creature that looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard, with 6 legs and a mouth full of teeth. It was easily 12 feet tall. Its growl shook the ground. "A crag beast," Dr. Cole's voice came through a small earpiece Jake wore. "Native to Dracon Prime, extremely aggressive. Armor-plated skin. Weak spots are the eyes and the soft tissue under the throat." "Great," Jake muttered. "Any suggestions on how to get to those weak spots?" "Don't die," Cole offered. The beast charged. It was fast, much faster than something that big should be. Jake ran to the nearest weapon rack and grabbed what looked like a spear. He barely rolled out of the way as the crag beast smashed into the rack, scattering weapons everywhere. The crowd roared. Some cheered, some laughed. Jake guessed they weren't expecting him to last long. The beast turned and charged again. This time, Jake ran toward a pillar. At the last second, he jumped to the side. The beast crashed into the pillar, shaking its head in confusion. Jake used that moment to run to another weapon rack. He grabbed a shield and something that looked like a net. "Jake, what are you doing?" Captain Hayes asked through the earpiece. "Thinking like a human," Jake replied. The crag beast was angry now. It circled him, growling. Jake stood still, holding the shield in front of him. When the beast charged this time, Jake didn't run. He waited until it was almost on top of him, then threw the net. The net was designed for something else, but it worked. It tangled in the beast's front legs. The creature stumbled, its momentum carrying it forward. Jake rolled under it as it fell, dragging the spear across the soft tissue under its throat. The crag beast made a terrible sound and stopped moving. The arena went silent. "First challenge complete," the announcer said. Jake thought the voice sounded surprised. Jake didn't have time to rest. The second door opened. This time 3 smaller creatures came out. They looked like wolves made of shadows with glowing red eyes. They spread out surrounding him. "Shadowhounds," Dr. Cole said. "They hunt in packs. Very smart. They'll try to separate you from your weapons and attack from different angles." Jake looked at the weapons scattered across the arena. He couldn't watch all 3 hounds at once. If he focused on one, the others would attack from behind. He ran toward the scattered weapons, grabbing as many as he could. The hounds chased him but didn't attack yet. They were testing him, watching how he moved. Jake reached a corner of the arena where 2 walls met. Now they could only come at him from one direction. He placed weapons within easy reach and held a long blade in each hand. The hounds moved closer, their red eyes glowing brighter. They made sounds that might have been communication. Then they attacked all three at once. Jake swung both blades in wide arcs. He didn't try to kill them. He just tried to keep them back. When one hound got too close, he threw one of the nearby weapons at it. The creature dodged, but it gave Jake a moment to change position. This went on for several minutes. Jake was getting tired. His arms hurt and sweat ran down his face. The hounds weren't tired. They kept coming, patient and coordinated. Then Jake noticed something. Every time he threw a weapon, all three hounds watched it. For just a second, their attention shifted. He picked up a small blade and threw it high into the air away from the hounds. All three heads turned to watch it. In that moment, Jake charged. He struck fast, taking down one hound before the others could react. Then he rolled back to his corner. Now it was 2 against 1. Jake repeated the trick, throwing objects to distract them. Each time they looked away, he attacked. Finally, both hounds lay still on the arena floor. "Second challenge complete," the announcer said. This time, the crowd was not silent. Many aliens were on their feet, making sounds of approval. Jake leaned against the wall, breathing hard. 2 down, 1 to go. The third door opened. Prince Korvan himself stepped out. "The human has done better than expected," the prince said. His voice was deep and rough. "But tricks and luck will not help against a true warrior. This final challenge is simple. Stand against me for 5 minutes. If you can remain on your feet, you pass." 5 minutes sounded like forever. Jake picked up a fresh weapon, a staff that felt balanced in his hands. Prince Korvan didn't charge like the beasts. He walked forward slowly, confidently. When he got close, he struck with his claws. Jake blocked with the staff, but the force of the blow knocked him backward. The prince was strong, much stronger than Jake. Each hit felt like getting struck by a car. Jake's strategy of dodging and blocking was barely keeping him alive. 3 minutes passed. Jake's arms felt like they were on fire. The staff had cracks in it from blocking the prince's attacks. He had been knocked down twice but managed to get back up each time. "You fight well for a human," Korvan said. He didn't sound tired at all. "But you cannot win. Surrender now with honor." Jake knew the prince was right. He couldn't beat him in straight combat, so he stopped trying. When Korvan attacked again, Jake didn't block. He dove forward, going under the prince's swing. He rolled past the Dracon and came up on his feet behind him. Then he ran. "Coward!" someone in the crowd shouted. But Jake wasn't running away. He was running towards something. He grabbed a handful of the scattered weapons and turned to face the prince again. Korvan charged, angry now. Jake threw the first weapon, not at the prince but at his feet. The Dracon stumbled slightly. Jake threw another, this time at the prince's face. Korvan knocked it away but lost a second of time. Jake kept moving, kept throwing, kept making the prince react instead of attack. He used every trick he could think of. He kicked dirt in the prince's eyes. He led him into obstacles. He made noise from one direction and attacked from another. It wasn't pretty fighting. It wasn't honorable warrior combat. It was desperate survival. The crowd was divided now. Some booed, others laughed. But many more watched in fascination. They had never seen anyone fight like this. "Time!" the announcer finally called out. Jake collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. Every part of his body hurt. But he was still standing, or at least kneeling. He had lasted 5 minutes. Prince Korvan stood several feet away, breathing hard. For the first time, he looked uncertain. "You did not fight with honor," he said. Jake looked up at him. "I fought to survive. That's what humans do. We don't have your strength or your armor. We don't live for thousands of years. So we adapt. We improvise. We do whatever it takes to keep going." He slowly stood up, his legs shaking. "Maybe that's not honorable by your standards, but it's honest." The arena was completely silent. Then from her seat high above, Queen Zathera stood. She began a slow rhythmic clapping. One by one, other aliens joined her. The sound grew and grew until it filled the entire arena. Even Prince Korvan nodded slowly. "You have passed the combat trial, Jake Morrison. You fight like no warrior I have ever faced." He paused. "I do not know if that is a good thing or a bad thing." Jake managed a tired smile. "Welcome to humanity. We're not sure either." As guards came to escort him from the arena, Jake looked up at Queen Zathera. She smiled at him and he saw something new in her golden eyes. Not just interest anymore, pride. The combat trial was over. But Jake knew the hardest tests were still ahead. The trial of wisdom waited, and he had no idea what that would involve. But he was still standing, still fighting. And for a human, that was enough. Jake spent the night in the medical bay. The doctors there were from different species, and they worked together to heal his injuries from the combat trial. By morning, he felt better, though his muscles still ached. The wisdom trial is in 3 hours, Ambassador Foster told him over breakfast. We need to talk about what that means. Jake pushed his food around on his plate. It was supposed to taste like eggs, but it didn't quite work. Let me guess, more impossible tasks? Actually, no, Dr. Cole said. He pulled up a holographic screen. The wisdom trial is different. You'll sit before the Council of Elders. They'll ask you questions about philosophy, ethics, and culture. You need to show that humans have depth, not just strength. So I need to prove we're more than just fighters, Jake said. Exactly. Foster leaned forward. Jake, this might be harder than the combat. These beings have lived for thousands of years. They've seen civilizations rise and fall. What can a 19-year-old human possibly tell them that they don't already know? Jake had been wondering the same thing. 3 hours later, he entered a quiet chamber far from the arena. This room was simple and peaceful. Soft light came from panels in the ceiling. In a circle sat 7 ancient beings from different species. Each one looked old beyond measure. Welcome, Jake Morrison, one of them said. This was Elder Shoma, a crystalline being whose body caught the light in strange ways. Please sit. We have questions for you. Jake sat in the center of the circle. His hands were sweating. First question, said an elder who looked like a tree with eyes. Your species fights many wars. You kill each other over resources, beliefs, territory. Why should we trust humans to join the galactic community when you cannot even make peace with yourselves? The question hit hard. Jake took a breath before answering. You're right. Humans fight. We've fought for our entire history. We've done terrible things to each other. He paused. But we also keep trying to be better. Every war teaches us something. Every mistake makes us question ourselves. We write stories about the cost of violence. We create art showing the pain it causes. We never stop struggling to improve. Many species eventually outgrow war, the tree elder said. But it takes thousands of years. Humans are too young to have learned this lesson. Maybe, Jake agreed. Or maybe humans learn differently. We don't live long enough to forget the lessons. My grandfather fought in a war. He told me stories that still make me sad. Those stories shape how I see the world. When humans learn something important, we pass it down generation after generation, parent to child. We don't have time to forget, so we remember everything. Elder Shoma made a sound that might have been approval. Second question. Humans create beautiful things, art, music, literature. But you also create weapons capable of destroying your entire world. How do you justify this contradiction? Jake thought carefully. I don't think I can justify it. It's just who we are. Humans feel things deeply. When we love, we create beauty to express it. When we fear, we create weapons to protect what we love. The same passion that makes us write poetry also makes us build shields. He looked around at the elders. Maybe that seems wrong to you. Maybe species that live for thousands of years learn to be calm and balanced. But humans burn bright and fast. Everything we do is intense because we don't have forever. A small elder who floated in a bubble of water spoke next. Third question. Your species is divided by race, religion, culture. You segregate yourselves into tribes and nations. How can you claim to represent humanity when you are so fragmented? This question made Jake smile a little. Have you ever heard human music? The elders looked confused by the question. Human music takes sounds from all over our world, Jake continued. African drums, Asian strings, European horns, American guitars. We mix them together and create something new, something better than any one sound alone. He leaned forward. Yes, we're divided, but we're also learning to blend. Every generation gets better at seeing past the divisions. My best friend's parents came from 3 different continents. My captain served with people from 20 different nations. We're not perfect at it, but we're trying. And when humans work together, we can do amazing things. Fourth question, Elder Shoma said. If you could change one thing about humanity, What would it be? Jake didn't hesitate. I'd give us more time. Humans could do so much if we lived longer. We could learn more, create more, understand more. Most people just start to get wise when they get old, and then they die. He felt sadness as he spoke. It's not fair, but maybe that's why we try so hard. We know time is short. The elders were quiet for a moment. Then the tree elder spoke again. Final question, and perhaps the most important. Why should the galaxy accept humans? You are young, violent, short-lived, and divided. Many species believe you will bring chaos. Give us one reason to embrace your kind. Jake sat back. This was the question everything depended on. He thought about his whole journey. The nervous flight to Apex Prime. Meeting Queen Zathera. The combat trial. Everything had led to this moment. You shouldn't accept us because we're perfect, he finally said. You should accept us because we're not. He saw surprise on some of the elders' faces. You asked about human contradictions. We make war, but dream of peace. We divide ourselves, but yearn for unity. We destroy, but also create. We're messy and complicated, and we make mistakes. Jake stood up, feeling passionate now. But here's what I've noticed about this galaxy. Everyone here is old. Ancient civilizations with ancient ways. You have rules for everything. Protocols, traditions. You figured everything out. He paused. And maybe that's why things never change. Maybe that's why the galaxy feels stuck. You need someone to shake things up. Someone who doesn't know all the rules. Someone who asks, why not? Instead of why. You think chaos is valuable? The floating elder asked. I think questions are valuable, Jake replied. I think trying new things is valuable. I think passion and hope and stubbornness are valuable. Humans don't accept that something can't be done. We hear impossible, and we work harder. We fail, and we try again. We fall down and we get back up. He looked at each elder in turn. The galaxy doesn't need another ancient wise species. You have plenty of those. You need humans. You need our energy, our creativity, our refusal to give up. You need someone to remind you what it's like to be young and hungry and full of dreams. The chamber was silent. Jake worried he had said too much, been too bold. These were ancient beings. Who was he to tell them what the galaxy needed? Then Elder Shoma began to glow brighter. In 3,000 years, no one has answered our questions quite like that. You speak with the certainty of youth and the wisdom of someone who has truly thought about these things. The crystalline elder stood. The council finds your answers acceptable. You have passed the trial of wisdom. Jake felt relief flood through him. 2 trials down, 1 to go. But as he left the chamber, he overheard 2 council guards speaking quietly. Did you hear? Someone tried to sabotage the human delegation's quarters last night. The security team found evidence of tampering. Jake's blood ran cold. Someone was trying to stop him from completing the trials. Someone wanted him to fail, or worse. When he returned to the human quarters, he found everyone gathered around Ambassador Foster. The ambassador's face was grim. We found listening devices in our rooms, Foster said. Someone has been monitoring everything we say and do, and according to station security, there's been unusual activity near the innovation trial arena. Someone's trying to sabotage the final trial, Captain Hayes said. Jake, I think we need to request extra security. No, Jake said firmly. Everyone looked at him. If I ask for special protection, it looks like humans need help. Like we're weak. That's exactly what whoever is doing this wants. But if something happens to you, Dr. Cole started. Then humanity deals with it, Jake interrupted. But I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to look scared. The innovation trial is tomorrow, and I'm going to face it just like I faced the others. Queen Zathera visited him that evening. She came alone, without guards or ceremony. You know about the sabotage, she said. It wasn't a question. Yes, Jake replied. Do you know who's behind it? I have suspicions. There are several factions who fear what humans might become. She moved to the window, looking out at the stars. They see your potential and it frightens them. A species that goes from caves to starships in 5,000 years? That challenges every assumption about how civilization develops. So they want to stop me from passing the trials. They want to stop humans from having a voice in galactic affairs. Zathera turned to face him. But Jake, you must understand something. Even if you pass all 3 trials, even if you become my chosen, there will always be those who oppose you. The path ahead will not get easier. I know, Jake said, but that's okay. Humans are used to things being difficult. It's kind of our specialty. Zathera smiled, that small smile he was beginning to recognize. Yes, I am learning that about your species. She moved closer. Tomorrow's trial will test your ability to solve problems no one has solved before. Are you ready? Jake thought about everything he had been through. The impossible combat, the deep questions, the constant pressure of representing all humanity. He was 19 years old, far from home, facing challenges that should have been impossible. No, he said honestly. I'm not ready, but I'm going to do it anyway, because that's what humans do. Zathera's smile grew wider. Good answer, Jake Morrison. Good answer. The innovation trial took place in a massive laboratory deep inside Apex Prime. When Jake entered, he saw workstations with tools and materials from hundreds of different worlds. Screens showed complex equations he couldn't understand. Machines hummed with strange energies. The Galactic Council filled observation galleries above. Every species wanted to see if the young human could complete the final trial. Jake Morrison, Elder Shoma announced. You face the innovation trial. Before you is a problem that has plagued the galaxy for 3,000 years. The Void Drive. A holographic image appeared showing a strange device. It looked like a sphere surrounded by rings of light. Void drives allow ships to travel between galaxies, Dr. Cole explained through Jake's earpiece. But they create toxic waste that poisons entire solar systems. Every species has tried to solve this problem. No one has succeeded. Your task is simple, Elder Shoma continued. Find a way to neutralize the void drive waste. You have 6 hours and access to any resources in this laboratory. If you succeed, you will have done what the greatest minds in the galaxy could not. Jake stared at the holographic device. 6 hours to solve a 3,000-year-old problem. It seemed impossible. Begin, Elder Shoma said. Jake walked to the nearest workstation. He pulled up files on void drive technology. The screens filled with equations and diagrams. Most of it was way beyond his understanding. These were theories developed by civilizations that had been studying physics for thousands of years. Jake, Ambassador Foster's voice came through his earpiece. We contacted Earth's top scientists. They're trying to help, but they say this is impossible. The waste produced by void drives is fundamentally unstable. It can't be contained or neutralized by any known method. So everyone's just been living with the problem? Jake asked. They minimize it, Dr. Cole replied. They eject the waste far from inhabited systems. But it's still out there, spreading through space, poisoning anything it touches. Jake read through more files. The problem was clear. Void drives bent space and time to cross vast distances, but doing so created a byproduct, a kind of radiation that broke down matter at the atomic level. It was like nuclear waste, but 1,000 times worse. Every species had tried different approaches. Containment fields, energy dampeners, molecular restructuring. Nothing worked. The waste was too unstable, too energetic. It broke through every barrier eventually. 2 hours passed. Jake had covered whiteboards with notes and equations. He understood the problem better now, but he was no closer to a solution. This is what they want, Captain Hayes said quietly through the earpiece. They gave you a problem with no answer. When you fail, they can say humans aren't ready. Maybe they're right, Jake muttered. I'm just a kid who's good with engines. I'm not a super genius scientist. He sat down, feeling defeated. Around him, the laboratory hummed with power. So many tools, so much knowledge. But none of it helped. Then something caught his eye. In the corner of the lab sat a container marked waste materials. It was full of scraps and failed experiments. Things that didn't work. Jake walked over and started looking through it. Broken circuits, expired chemicals, discarded prototypes, stuff that advanced civilizations threw away because it was useless. And suddenly an idea hit him. What if that was the problem? What if advanced civilizations were too advanced? Jake ran back to the workstation. He pulled up information about early space travel, from when civilizations were just starting to explore their own solar systems. He found data about primitive fusion reactors, simple containment fields, basic chemical processes. Jake, what are you doing? Dr. Cole asked. You're looking at 1,000-year-old technology. That stuff is obsolete. That's exactly the point, Jake said, his fingers moving fast across the controls. Everyone has been trying to solve this with advanced technology. Super complex solutions for a super complex problem. But what if the answer is simpler? He pulled up information about the void drive waste itself. The radiation broke down matter at the atomic level. It was incredibly energetic and unstable. Every attempt to contain it used force. Strong fields, powerful barriers, intense counter-energies. But Jake remembered something from his basic science classes. Sometimes the best way to deal with high energy wasn't to fight it. It was to redirect it. He started building a prototype using materials from the lab. But instead of using the most advanced equipment, he used simple components, basic magnetic fields, simple chemical buffers, primitive heat sinks. "I don't understand what you're building," Ambassador Foster said. "I'm not trying to stop the waste," Jake explained, working fast. "I'm trying to give it somewhere to go. The waste has all this energy because it's compressed, unstable. But what if we let it expand in a controlled way? What if we treat it like a fire instead of a bomb?" 3 more hours passed. Jake's prototype grew larger. It looked crude compared to the sleek technology around it. Several aliens in the observation galleries were laughing. A human using primitive methods to solve an advanced problem? It was ridiculous. But Queen Zathera wasn't laughing. She watched intently, her golden eyes tracking every move Jake made. Finally, with 15 minutes left, Jake finished. His device looked like a mess of tubes and coils wrapped around a simple containment sphere. It used gravity to pull the waste inward, while magnetic fields channeled the energy outward through heat sinks. The energy didn't disappear. It converted into harmless thermal radiation that could be vented into space. "Time," Elder Shoma announced. "Present your solution." Jake activated his device. A sample of void drive waste appeared in the containment sphere, glowing with deadly green light. The waste thrashed and pulsed, trying to break free. Jake's device hummed to life. The magnetic coils spun. The heat sinks began to glow. Slowly, the green light started to fade. The waste was still there, but its energy was being drawn away, converted, neutralized. The laboratory went silent. On the screens, readings showed the waste becoming stable. Not contained. Actually stable. Harmless. "Impossible," someone whispered. "How?" Elder Shoma asked, moving closer. Jake explained his solution. Everyone was trying to stop the waste by meeting force with force. But the waste has too much energy for that. Instead, I gave it a path. I let the energy flow out in a way that doesn't hurt anything. It's like opening a window instead of building a thicker wall. But this design uses primitive technology, another elder said. Magnetic fields and heat sinks are thousands of years old. Exactly, Jake replied. Sometimes the old ways work better. You all got so advanced that you forgot the simple solutions. You were looking up when you should have been looking down. Prince Korvan stood in the gallery. The human child has solved a problem that stumped our greatest minds. With what? Parts we throw away? Methods we abandoned. He laughed, but it wasn't a mocking laugh. This is embarrassing. And impressive. Elder Shoma examined Jake's device carefully. You passed the innovation trial, Jake Morrison. Not only have you solved the problem, but you have taught us something valuable. Sometimes wisdom means remembering what we've forgotten. The crowd erupted. Some aliens cheered. Others argued. But everyone was talking about what the human had done. Suddenly alarms blared. Security guards rushed into the laboratory. We have an intruder. Everyone stay back. A figure in dark robes appeared near Jake's workstation. It moved fast, heading for his device. Jake barely had time to react before the figure smashed his prototype. Pieces scattered across the floor. No, Jake shouted. More guards arrived. They surrounded the intruder and removed the dark robe. Underneath was a small alien with gray skin and multiple eyes. Why? Elder Shoma demanded. Because humans are dangerous, the alien hissed. They solve problems too quickly. They adapt too fast. They will upset the balance of power. Better to stop them now. You're the one behind the sabotage, Captain Hayes said. I'm not alone, the alien replied. Many agree with me. Humans must be controlled or eliminated. This is just the beginning. Guards took the alien away. Jake looked at the broken pieces of his device. All that work destroyed. Don't worry. Dr. Cole's voice came through the earpiece. We recorded everything. Your design is saved. We can rebuild it. But there are people who want to stop us, Jake said. People who are scared of what humans might become. Queen Zathera came down from the gallery. She walked directly to Jake. Yes, there are those who fear you. But there are also those who support you. You have proven yourself 3 times, Jake Morrison. You showed courage in combat, wisdom in thought, and innovation in problem-solving. She placed one of her hands on his shoulder. The chosen bond is complete. You are now my equal in the eyes of the Council. The Galactic Council gathered. Elder Shoma spoke formally. Jake Morrison, by completing the trial of worth, you have earned recognition not just for yourself but for all humanity. What say you to this honor? Jake thought about everything that had happened. The fear, the pain, the pressure, but also the friendships, the learning, the growing. He looked at Queen Zathera, at his team, at all the aliens watching. I accept, he said clearly, but I want to change the terms. Shocked whispers spread through the crowd. You didn't change terms with the Queen? Speak, Zathera said, curious. You chose me because you saw potential in humans, but I'm just one person. The bond shouldn't be about me being yours or you being mine. It should be about partnership. Between humans and Vexians, between Earth and the galaxy. Jake looked up at all the watching species. I'm 19 years old. I shouldn't be making decisions for all of humanity, but I can be a bridge, someone who helps both sides understand each other. You propose an equal partnership? Zathera asked. That has never been done before. Then let's do something new, Jake said. Isn't that what this whole trial was about? Finding new solutions to old problems? Queen Zathera smiled. That full, genuine smile Jake had only seen a few times. Yes, that is exactly what this was about. She raised her voice so everyone could hear. I agree to Jake Morrison's terms. The chosen bond will be a partnership of equals. Let this be the first of many new traditions. The council erupted in discussion, but Elder Shoma held up a crystalline hand for silence. The council recognizes this unprecedented arrangement. Humanity is granted full membership status in the galactic community. Jake Morrison is appointed as ambassador, with all rights and protections thereof. People cheered, not everyone, but many. Jake saw Ambassador Foster wiping his eyes. Captain Hayes was grinning. Dr. Cole gave him a thumbs up. But Jake also saw the ones who didn't cheer, the ones who looked angry or scared. He understood now that passing the trials was just the beginning. There would be more challenges ahead, more people who wanted to stop humanity's rise. That was okay. Humans were good at facing challenges. What happens now? Jake asked Queen Zathera. Now? She gestured to the stars visible through the laboratory windows. Now we build something new. A true partnership between species. It won't be easy. I know, Jake said. There will be those who oppose us. I know. You may fail. The galaxy may not be ready for change. Jake smiled. Then we'll make it ready. That's what humans do. We don't wait for the galaxy to accept us. We show the galaxy who we are. And we keep showing up, keep trying until everyone gets it. Zathera laughed, that beautiful sound like bells and thunder. Yes, I made the right choice. The galaxy is about to learn what happens when you give humans a chance. Jake looked out at the stars, at the vast universe waiting to be explored. He was 19 years old, far from home, and he had just become a bridge between humanity and an entire galaxy of alien species. It was terrifying. It was impossible. It was exactly the kind of challenge humans loved. Let's get started, Jake Morrison said. We have a galaxy to change. And so the youngest human ambassador, chosen by an ancient alien queen, took his first steps into a future where humanity would prove again and again that impossible just meant we haven't figured it out yet.